Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. Alright, I have a package here. Let's see what it is. Got air pillow. So do you know what camera it is? Okay, so this is the David White Stereo Realist camera. It's a 35mm camera. What you see here is quite unique. You have two taking lens, and this lens in the center is actually for viewing. And I've got this off eBay a few weeks ago, and it finally reached me. I have already give it a quick wipe of the outer surface, just with some cotton wool and alcohol. And I looked through the viewfinder here, which is very different from other camera. It's not on top, but it's at the bottom. And this other lens is for the rangefinder, right? So I looked through them. It's a bit the rangefinder one still seems okay, but the viewfinder lens seems to be a bit blur. So I'll see what I can do with it. There are some videos on YouTube that tell you how to maintain this. What I think I will do is that maybe check is there any film inside. The eBay listing seems to say that there are some film inside, and the film counter seems to indicate that it's at frame 29. Right, so I will check, and if there's film inside, I will just finish up the roll and develop it. It will be interesting to see what was taken before. Okay, I have opened up the bag, and I found this roll of film inside. This is a Kodak Ektar clone 100HC. It's all shot, but I don't know how long it's been inside this camera. What I will do is that I will try to get this process at a lab in Singapore, and hopefully there's some interesting photo in it. So what I have here is a dummy roll of film, which I will show you how I will load it into the. Before that, I will just go through with you the basic operation of the camera. So you can see that it has come with a nice lens cover, and on the lens cover there is a depth of field table here, and we also see three lenses here. The one on the left and the right are the taking lenses, and the one in the center is the for viewing, which you use this small viewfinder window to view through the scene, right? And there's also two small windows here. These two are the rangefinder window, and you look through this rangefinder window, the one on the right. Right, it will be vertically stacked, so you need to align the two images so that you'll find your right focusing distance. Right. For setting the shutter speed, you will see that it's actually marked out in the viewing lens. We have shutter speed as fast as 1/50, all the way down to 1 second, and after that will be the bulb mode and the thumb mode. So you can just turn this to set your shutter speed. But one thing to note is that you have to set the shutter speed before you cock the shutter, right? So let's say I now set it to 1 second, and then I cock the shutter, right? So if you try to change the shutter speed after the shutter is cocked, you may spoil the mechanism inside it, right? So that one thing to take note. So for the aperture, we have it on this lens itself. The marking is here. For this model, I have the biggest aperture as f3.5 and as small as f22. So you see, I turn my lens here, right? The other lens will also move, right? So the two aperture will always be the same. Alright, so now what I'll do is that I'll try to show you how to load the film using a dummy roll of film. Right, it's actually quite straightforward. on the top plate there is a switch for advancing or rewind. A as in for advance, R for rewind. Right, the difference that when it's turned to R, this knob for the takeout spool, right, can be turned in either direction. But if you set it to the advanced mode, that means you are taking out the film in the takeout spool here. You can only turn in the direction of the show in the arrow. You can't reverse it, right? So for the ease of loading of film, we turn it to R. And at the bottom of the plate, there is also a locking lever. So just turn it from the lock position to the unlock, right? And what we can do is that we should be able to remove the back quite easily, right? Okay. So for the back itself, we have a pressure plate here, and then there are two viewing holes. So in this way, it's not possible to put the back in the wrong direction, right? You can put it this way because your viewing holes will be on top, and also the two flap here will be wrong, right? So always put it in this direction back. So this is the takeout spool. There's a bit of corrosion here. Later I'll try to polish it up or what. And we can see a tiny slit here. This was to insert the film leader in, right? So I will put it up in the spool on the right. So in order to put it in, just lift up the knob here, right? So there's space for the film to go in. So once the canister is loaded in, just press down the knob, right? And so very importantly, we see that there is a wheel with sprocket here. We have to make sure that the sprocket holes on the film actually fit through this sprocket, right? So what we need to do is to slide it across, make sure they catch on. This will help you in advancing the film. So on the takeout spool side, okay, just find the slit there. And it's a very shallow slit, so just insert it in, right? Maybe like 2-3 mm. And then you can start to wind the film, right, in this direction. So you take up, okay. So wind it a bit tight. So once this is done, we can put back the cover. So for the cover, the latch on the left hand side, make sure we put it in, and then just press it down. You'll hear a click sound. So this is loaded. So once the back is locked shut, we will move the locking lever back to the lock position so that it cannot be opened anymore. Right. You can see there is no way to open it. Okay. And what we need to do now is to turn the rewind advance switch back to advance. Okay. So now what we want to do is to just advance the film 2 times so that it will take out a little bit more of the film leader. It could be already exposed to light, so we don't want to use that. So once you turn to A, just turn this knob until it stops. Okay, you can hear it click and stop, right? And what we need to do is that to turn it one more time. Now you find that it can't turn. The only way to make it turn is to press this film advance button, press it once and start to turn it, and then turn it until it click again, right? So this should be enough. And what we can do now is to turn the film counter so that the 1 is aligned with the arrow. It's a manual counter, so we have to manually set it to 1. So if you forget to switch this to 1, that's still fine. It doesn't affect how the camera works, but it just helps us to keep track. We should get about, I understand, about 30 exposure based on the 36 exposure roll of film, right? So since this is a dummy roll of film, I can just go and I can show you the basic operation again. So we'll lift out the lens cover, assuming I already set the shutter speed and aperture to my needs, right? I will cut the shutter, okay, and then what I will do is I will press the shutter 1 time, right? It go off. So you'll notice that after I press the shutter button, this little window here, this little hole here changed from a white color to a red dot, right? That means that the film has not been advanced yet. So to prevent double exposure, you are not allowed to press the shutter button even if you caught your shutter. So let's say if let me go for a faster shutter speed, 1/50. So I caught the shutter again and I try to press this button, right? There is a mechanism there that will prevent double exposure, right? So what we need to do is to wind the film by pressing this. As long as you turn the advanced knob, right, you can let go of the button, right, and then it will cock, right, until it's in place, right. You'll also notice that the film advance counter has also advanced from 1, it went to I think 3, okay, and you'll notice that this red dot has become a white dot again, right. So and now I can press the shutter button. So assuming you really want a double exposure, there is this double exposure protection override. What we need to do is to just to pull it out to see what happened. The red dot turned from red to white again, and if I caught the shutter, right, without advancing the film, I can still trigger the shutter, right. Okay, quite a nice camera. Okay, so now I'm ready to load in a real roll of film. This is Ilford HP5, right, ISO 400. Okay, let's do the loading. Okay, I'm out today, just walking in the neighborhood to test out the camera. I've loaded inside here the Ilford HP5, but I'm going to process it as a positive black and white slides. So this camera is fully manual, so there is no built-in metering system. So I brought out with me my external light meter, the Nikon LS308. So I use this to do my metering. So for shooting with slides, I will usually use incident metering mode so that it will be more accurate. The camera doesn't come with a strap, so I have borrowed it from my Nikon F2, my recycled leather net strap. So it's just hook on nicely, so I will use this and take my shot. Okay, so I finished up the roll, so now it's time to rewind it and then do the processing. So towards the end of the roll, when you try to advance the film, you'll find it's getting tighter and tighter. But when you reach about 30, that should be the end of the roll. So do not attempt to turn this advance knob by force, because that may break off the film from the loading reel itself. Okay. So to unload the film, what we need to do, we just turn the switch to rewind. If you turn the rewind knob and this take up knob does not turn anymore, then you know that you have reached the end of the roll. Then we can open the back and take out the film. Right, so what we need to do, unlock it, right, and take out the back. Right. Right, so you notice that I did not rewind back the whole film back into the canister. This is because that since we are going to process the film, we will need to extract this out. So rather than rewinding the whole film leader back into the canister and then extracting out again, so we just leave this out. Right? So when you rewind, you feel that the tension is gone. That is when the time to stop. Right? So let me process this film and show you the result when it's ready. Okay, so let's take a look at the result. I have processed this roll of Ilford HP5 as positive black and white slides. So we can see them as a positive image here. Per frame size is 22 by 25 mm. It is about 5 sprockets hole wide, slightly smaller than the regular 35 mm frame. Now let us take a look on how the frames are spaced out on the roll of film. Let's take the example of the Singapore national flag. You can see that they are in between two other films. That's how the photos are being laid out. And the photo on the left is actually taken by the right lens, and the photo on the right is taken by the left lens. Right? This is because the film is loaded the other way around, upside down. That is why the left is taken by the right and the right is taken by the left. Right, so from what I see, there's some frames that are overlapping. For example, this one. And here, you can see it overlap. Not so sure what is wrong. If you have any idea, please leave me a comment, and I will definitely appreciate any suggestions or tips to make better use of this camera. In terms of the metering, I think my external meter performed quite well, and the aperture and shutter speed of the camera are both accurate. Right? So that is best check with shooting slides, because you need very accurate exposure. Otherwise, the overexposure of or underexposure is quite clear. Right? And the other thing I have is a very long end of the film unused, so I may need to wind a little bit more before I start the first shot, or there's some issue with the advancing of the film. That's why they overlap, and there are also some space that's not used. Right, so there's something else to investigate. Hi guys, we have come to the end of this video. Please like it, share it, and finally do subscribe to my channel, and I see you at my next video. Take care. Bye.